Why, hello everyone, and welcome to the official Action RPG live stream. My name is Aaron, owner and operator of the YouTube channel Action RPG, and today we are going to be watching this, which starts in 15 minutes. This is the brand new Moon Studios No Rest for the Wicked Inside Showcase, breaking down their huge update coming to the game, The Breach. Ooh, And instead of us just sitting here for 15 minutes, who's that? Rensky? Thank you. Hey, Sky, thanks for the Prime sub. Thank you so much. We are watching a graphics card video. Incorrect. I'm going to watch this anyways, so I just figured while we're waiting for this countdown, which is 14 minutes, we can watch Steve talk about the new Ryzen 9 9950X 3D CPU. Aaron, you're kidding, right? I watch all these videos. I don't know why I love hearing about new PC tech stuff, but I mean, again, we could just sit here twiddling our thumbs for 14 minutes, or we could watch a little bit of this. Hey, dude, I tested that RF last night. Yeah, what did you think? Bro, I thought this game is so dead. No Rest for the Wicked, it's in early access. It's not even launched yet. What do you mean? What does it all mean, Basil? All right, who do we got here? We got Hogan, Winfox, Goose. What's up? BC, Sith Lord, hello. Diesel, yo, you killed it yesterday? That's awesome. Mr. Ben Diesel, I like your capital letters in your name now. See, I noticed these things. Sky, what up? Thanks for the Prime sub. Who else is here? Cough E, what's up? Tekken, yo, Andres, yo, Robo, hello. I tried Dragonkin demo, but the game just felt flat and limited compared to the other available options. Lacked defining oof. I like No Rest for the Wicked, but I do say if you go in with the expectation of D4 or PoE2, you will likely be disappointed. Brow, what's up? Only LE matters. No Rest for the Wiener, says the Void Portal. Oh, brother. Brow, how are you doing today? Richard, hello, hello. Take my Prime sub, I'm getting into the LE wagon. That's a good wagon to be into. Radix, what up? One glove, one shield, one weapon, but you can't use the gloves if you take it and the two affixes on the gear, but the cooldown is too short for auto RF. And the cooldown is too long to blast RF. Oh, you're talking about with Paladin? Me too. I haven't started that one yet. Yeah, we're only going to watch a little bit of it. Got it. All right, everybody, we're going to watch 10 minutes of Steve break down the new 9950X3D. The review embargo lifted today. This is supposedly the new Consumer King CPU. And then, of course, in 10 minutes, we will go full screen for the Wicked live showcase. So that's the plan. I honestly don't know how long their presentation is either. Today, I am building my new computer. So, yeah.
Been a really long couple weeks with the GPU reviews and all of the chaos following it. But the quick version up front today for the 9950X2D review. The 9950X2D is comparable to the 9800X2D in gaming situations. Not a big surprise there. They're basically identical in a lot of situations. In production workloads that we test, it is similar to a 9950X. It's for the most part indistinguishable for a lot of these use cases. The biggest change has been to the setup, where historically the dual CCD parts with a single CCD that's faster and a single CCD that has the extra cache. So between the two, they're constructed differently. Historically, it's taken some care.
Did you make Halo videos years ago, or am I crazy? I did not make Halo videos. Is it because I'm in camo today? Is that what it is? Oh, good old Gamers Nexus. Yeah, they're my go-to. I like Gamers Nexus. Break over, back to the grind. Have a good one, bro. 10 minutes until our Wicked live showcase. We're just listening to Steve for a minute.
And setup and configuration. And AMD says that it is trying to solve that, and it has started to do so with the chipset drivers that have come out, well, actually before this, but that are really starting to roll out and see effect with the 9950X 3D. So that's the biggest change. It's really just to the setup. So just as an example, if you had a 7600X previously and you wanted to upgrade to a 7950X 3D, our general advice would have been to just do a new Windows install. There are ways to do it.
So there was a lot of people for my new build, which I'm building today, I think, told me to wait to get this CPU. This CPU, the Ryzen 9 9950X 3D, is a $700 CPU. $700. I couldn't pull the trigger. It felt too insane to spend that much on a CPU. I got on President's Day sale, I got the Ryzen 9 9900X for $310. A 60%, 65%. It's just, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Without that. But that was kind of the easiest guaranteed way.
I'm building it today.
Set it up right, get the drivers to hook properly, the chipset drivers to behave
building
properly,
it today.
all the things they need. And that should be fixed now in theory. Now for us, we're still isolating our environments between the core parking drives and the non-core parking drives. And we've explained all that stuff in the past. So today, AMD is launching the R9 9950X 3D. They say that should be available tomorrow. This is a 16-core, 32-thread part. It has a listed MSRP.
That's an excellent for a streamer and YouTube video for the use case. Exactly. I wanted the extra cores and threads on the 9900.
Of $700. The $600
700 for CPU is ridiculous. I know.
Inside it, but it wasn't sampled to media. Normally, that's not a good sign. We're actually probably going to skip the 9900X 3D as well, just because it lines up poorly with me taking a break. So we're probably skipping that one. But maybe we'll come back for it, or at least just throw it on a chart at some point. Probably won't do a standalone review. Anyway, not a great sign. But as we all know, MSRP doesn't typically hold at launch. We just posted an entire video on it. It's like 42 minutes long, but it's really interesting if you want to look into that. So to keep this really simple, currently we would not pay over MSRP for a 9950X 3D because it's really straightforward. The 9800X 3D is cheaper, so if you're just gaming, you buy that one. If you're doing production stuff, I mean, the 9950X is $545 commonly. The 98X 3D is finally back down to $480, at least when we checked just before this. And there's some competition around too. So wouldn't pay over MSRP for it. It's that simple. If it's over MSRP, then our advice is to just ignore it and just either wait.
7 minutes till no rest for the wicked.
We're doing the 9950X 3D. We're going to go through gaming tests, production benchmarks, and it's been a really long review cycle. It's been 3 months long now, actually 4 if you count Intel in December. And so we're going to keep this one really simple and just purely focused on the numbers and getting the charts out there to you. Before that, this video is brought to you by the Montech Hyperflow series of liquid coolers.
Montech
Hyperflow aims to compete with other affordable liquid coolers by fighting on price to performance. In our testing, cooler performance was comparable to others in its class. The ARGB Hyperflow has an illuminated pump block with RGB LED fans that have quality rubber bumpers for vibration damping. The cooler has a 6-year warranty and supports all modern Intel and AMD sockets, and you can learn more at the link in the description below. Let's get straight into it today. We'll start with the specs. The AMD 9950X 3D is part of the Zen 5 architecture that launched with the 9700X
This CPU is ridiculous.
last year. The 9800X 3D swooped in a little later and cleaned up what was otherwise previously a confusing and messy launch. The 9800X 3D largely made major moves for gaming CPUs, and it gave us something to be actually excited about. It's a really good CPU. Keeps up with a 5090 in a lot of 1080p scenarios too, which is kind of crazy. The 9950X 3D is a 16-core, 32-thread CPU with a 5.7 gigahertz max advertised boost. It has a 4.3 gigahertz base clock and L3 cache at 128 megabytes. TDP target is 170 watts. For comparison, the normal 9950X also has a max advertised boost of 5.7 gigahertz, also has a base of...
There's my CPU. Look at this thing. It's 4th on the chart. Garbage. My new computer will have a Ryzen 9 9900X. Look at this thing. What a terrible decision I made.
4.3, and it also has a TDP of 170 watts. These are all shared. The cache changes, of course, the 3D part, at 64 megabytes of L3. In terms of construction, the 9800X2D is really simple. It's a single CCD plus the I/O die. And so that single CCD gets the extra cache, the V cache as they call it. Now they've flipped how this is architected, where now this was a major change that was made ground up at AMD. We have a whole separate piece on it. So, and I'll link that below if you want to check that out and learn about how it's all built. But now they flipped it so that the V cache is on the bottom. It's closer to the substrate, meaning that the cores are now pushed up above it. There's a little bit less structural silicon, which helps with thermals. It gets rid of a...
Hogan says he's still old school. AMD for stats, but burns out in 3 years. Intel for okay stats, but lasts 10 years. I don't know if that statement still holds today. 5 minutes until no rest for the wicked. I am going to manually run an ad right now to turn off ads for the showcase.
Massive just insulator, and it pushes the cores closer to the IHS, which should help them get the heat up and out without having to traverse through V-cache and additional structural silicon. So that was a major change they made with the 9800X2D. It was built ground up with the architecture itself. With Zen 5, it couldn't just be done, as AMD told us, with Zen 4 after.
Jiri, what up?
The architecture was done.
Hello.
So, that was a big change that helped a lot with thermals in the 9800X2D review, and that persists with the 9950X2D and the 9900X2D. So basically everything you could learn about this architecture and X3D for this generation, you could learn it from all the many 9800X2D coverage pieces from multiple people, and the basic supply here. It's just now there's two CCDs. One of them has the extra cache, so that'd be the X3D die, and then the other one is sort of quote-unquote normal in a sense, and then it's got the I/O die, of course, as well. We're keeping this incredibly simple for testing this time. As always, you can find our test bench information published on the website under the Living Doc test bench page. We'll link that below. There's no third-party ads if you want to check it out. It's pretty fast. For gaming tests, we have all new data, including the latest.
This is what my studio looks like right here, you know, for streaming. Look at this test setup. This is ridiculous.
Latest Windows updates and microcode updates for everything. That means we've refreshed the data set and wiped out
Jags,
what we had
ads.
last time. So every CPU you see run has been done in the last 3 full days or so. So it came through really fast because of the GPUs. We got the important ones in there. For production, we were able to salvage a lot of data because it hadn't changed. So we've left some of that on the charts. Otherwise, we've been completely buried by one GPU after another in an onslaught of benchmarks and follow-ups in the last week. So
thanks, Sith Lord.
We're sticking to the basics. I really want to set the right expectation here. So a couple things. First of all, we don't have as many charts as normally. It's enough to make a decision. You've got all the basics for gaming and for production, and hopefully that kind of gets you the decision that you need to make. And the reason we've slimmed down on the charts is it's really simple. We are tired, and I think you'll see this repeated from a lot of
This isn't D4 Season 8 PTR,
so
correct.
I love it. It is the most fun that I can have is during these crazy review cycles, but yeah, it's hard to keep up. So anyway, a little lighter on the charts. Secondly, I am going to Taiwan in a couple days for a mix of work and also time off for once. And so we're also going to have some rotating time off for the team where people are going to get to go home and have a break. And so the reason I point that out is because if there's some crazy follow-up story of the 9950X3D explodes or whatever, I don't know, then we're not going to be able to get to it for a while because I'm not going to move things. I'm not going to move people's time off for that. So just setting the expectation. There's a crazy follow-up. We might not be there to cover it unless it's a while later. Sorry, but I'm not going to disrupt the flow we've got for the team because everyone's worked really hard to get to this stage. And this is the last review we're getting live before we get to do some other stuff for a little while before the next round of chaos in April with probably the 5060s and the 9060s. Anyway, enough about us. Let's get into the data. Frequency analysis is up first. We do this testing to ensure the CPUs are functioning.
All right, before we get into frequency analysis, let's switch this up. You go away. You come here. All right, questions came in. Today is the watch party from Moon Studios, the studio behind No Rest for the Wicked. Yes, this game has not had a lot of updates and has not been in the spotlight, which we've already got some comments. Isn't this game dead? No Rest for the Wicked launched early access. This is still an early access title that has not dropped 1.0. By the way, this isn't a sponsored stream. I legit want to watch this. And they have talked about their biggest update coming and insane changes and yada, yada, yada. This is their new The Breach update that they're going to be showing off today. And I also like to see, I know it sounds stupid. I feel like Grinding Gear Games does this best. Their like presentation. I want to see how they present their new information on the game. So we're going to watch this together right now. Tech Jesus. Steve. And we're off. Oh, thank you. It's pretty loud. Oh, damn. They ran their source at 4K.
Hey everyone, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Gennady. Welcome to our second Wicked Inside.
We know a lot of you have been eagerly waiting to hear more from us since we shipped our last major content.
I do have a magical wall.
Right after early access launch, we spent weeks listening intently to your feedback while putting out numerous hotfixes and patches.
Then, after we felt that No Rest for the Wicked was in a good spot, we launched our first big content update.
Thanks, Jack.
Crucible.
Yes! With the Crucible, we introduced fresh enemies, brand new systems, and a fun mode to keep everyone entertained while we began work on our next major content update. But it's been a while since then, and today we'd like to explain why.
Our publisher for No Rest for the Wicked was Private Division, a subsidiary of Take-Two Interactive.
Take-Two decided to sell off Private Division, which was unexpected news for us. After some deliberation, we saw an opportunity.
After months of negotiations, we reached an agreement to buy the publishing rights for No Rest for the Wicked back, so that Moon Studios could become fully independent. This legal process took time, and we couldn't say much while it was all happening.
But today, we're excited to announce that it's all done, and that Moon Studios is now fully independent. We believe this will give you even more confidence in our vision, because we're free to build No Rest for the Wicked exactly how we want, without
pretty
needing
cool.
to ever go silent again.
We've used this extra time to create something truly special. Let's take a look at The Breach.
Good for them. That's cool. All right, here we go.
The Breach represents the biggest content update we have ever shipped. We have heard you loud and clear. You wanted more out of our campaign. You wanted more story, more zones to play in, more enemies to fight, more bosses to test your mettle against. In short, more of everything.
They screwed up the
And
quality
that is exactly
of their stream.
what we have been focusing on.
Our story continues
Shin?
immediately following Ellsworth's return to Sacrament. He summons his daughter Odessa from her prison cell, and their exchange reveals more about their relationship.
Take the upper passage out, then leave by the northwest gate.
What are you doing?
God Bennett is often sleeps on duty, and the ramparts above him will be
Just
unmanned.
started.
Head north to Ermgard and Merrin, or west to the Glades. Anywhere but here.
So that's it then.
You have to go.
As a serum, players will have to venture forth into new areas we're introducing for The Breach. These are massive zones that essentially double the size of the world players got to explore so far. A lot has changed
love
in
the
Solo
visuals
Sacra
in this
since we've
game.
last visited. Southeast of Sacrament lies the Lowland Meadows, a once idyllic haven used by Sacrament's hunters to gather food and supplies. Ellsworth requests our presence on a secret mission, but a faction known as the Harvesters has taken over the region.
See? I told you this serum would come, and here they are.
Indeed. Your presence is welcome here. My friend is convinced that some threat awaits us at the Weeping Sisters.
As always at Moon, when it comes to level design, we deliberately craft every single inch of our world by hand. We do not rely on any procedural generation, and we believe that ultimately that will allow us to create an insanely expansive, interactive open world where every inch actually matters.
Throughout your journey through the
looks so
meadows,
good,
you
I
will
love it.
encounter all new enemies. We have also introduced 2 new weapon archetypes, gauntlets and wands. Let's take a look at how these new weapons can be used to take down all new foes that you'll encounter.
The Timberwhite here will try to take your life with his ginormous great axe. We know some of you already loved being able to suplex enemies in Wicked. It was only appropriate we introduced a dropkick.
WWE! Hadouken!
Wormwood wretches and limb-seed archers will keep you on your toes with brutal range attacks. Our tremor wave will make quick work of them. Rust reavers present an even greater challenge. Equipped with 2 huge saws, your best bet is to keep your distance and counter when you find an opening.
Man, they screwed up the quality of the stream. Oh, it sucks.
Deeper within the meadows, the Copse Treader will try to block your path forward.
What's up, Nash?
Study his movement patterns and keep a cool head. You might just prevail. Obviously, we are also introducing all new bosses for the Breach, but we don't want to spoil everything just yet.
We know a lot of you already enjoyed how much love and care we're putting into all of these areas. Once again, we didn't shy away from really using verticality and hiding secrets everywhere. Even though you'll often fight for your life in all of these zones, every now and then you'll get to enjoy a serene scene of beauty. Things have changed in Sacrament too. Caretaker Alden has arrived in town to plead for help, dealing with the Blight, a plague infestation destroying his home of Marin Village.
Excuse me, is it true that Governor Ellsworth has already gone north with that madrigal? The guard said as much, but I wasn't sure. Many doors in Sacrament stay shut to us, Dasha.
And if you exit Sacrament through its northwestern gate, you will find yourself in the once majestic Marin Woods.
Did you like this one? I never tried it. I did like it. It's just not what I expected it to be.
Recently, the Marin Woods have been befallen by the Blight. It festered all throughout the woods, and players will have to find a way past it in order to advance. The Belactor are ferocious fighters. The Stalkinche here knows how to wield a club, and if you're not careful, they might just call in reinforcements. Our new wands build are surprisingly effective. We can cast ice darts to freeze our enemies. Cold Sling is a powerful ice evasion attack.
For the Heavy Feather, we'll use some more powerful spells our wands provide. We have since learned how to perform the Riven Twins Plague Explosion. And if you have enough focus, Lightning Bolt makes quick work of any enemy.
Oh boy.
Halfway through Marin Woods, you'll encounter Marin
First time
Village,
I've heard of this
a
game?
peaceful
No way.
woodland community of Isola Sacra.
Really? Dropped last year, early access.
Seen in ages. I'm amazed you made it to our village at all, stranger. Hardly anyone comes here anymore. 10.
Yeah, I just want to say the quality on the stream is not my end, it's their end. They set it to 4K. So the source code's coming in at 4K, which actually makes the quality worse.
Sacrament.
My clod of a cousin still hammering away in Sacrament. Figured they would have run him off by now. Chased them out of town with their crooked pitchforks and bent spears. Might as well give it here.
In Marin, we will also meet Odessa's godmother, Irmgard, a connection to her Dasha heritage.
I remember when my mother used to sing me to sleep. You did too.
It's a top-down Dark Souls, kind of. It's not as bad as Dark Souls. It is, it's in between Dark Souls and ARPG.
I'm not welcome in Sacrament.
That's why people are saying PoE 2 at the beginning feels like No Rest for the Wicked,
we'll
which I
explore
didn't
new
think was
areas
true.
within it, learning more about the forces of the mainland.
We will not tolerate any more doubt within your ranks, Primus. Not while we knock on salvation's door.
Discipline takes time. It's earned, not bought.
The born god disagrees. Discipline is forged. It is a tool, molded in flame.
Meanwhile, we'll continue the story of Madrigal Celine and her vanguard, who seek to liberate the lost city of Kalen.
We're incredibly excited about this new chapter in our campaign, but we don't want to spoil everything just yet.
Our intention for No Rest for the Wicked was always to provide players with an insane amount of content, even after they finish the campaign.
Here we go.
After the events that unfold throughout the breach, our Spilled Blood questline continues as any area within Isola Sacra can now be overtaken by the Pestilence. Once an area is infected, you'll suddenly have to fight enemies that you never encountered before in these areas. Defeat these enemies, and they might just drop all new Torn resources. Torn resources can be burned at any fire in order to further increase the challenge within an infected area. You will need to heavily upgrade your gear and perfect your build in order to succeed.
See? Builds and gear, and look at that mob density.
But greater challenge also means greater rewards.
Look at that ARPG action.
Notice that with every enemy you slay, the pestilence spread meter at the bottom of the screen reduces. Slay enough enemies and you will have to overcome only one more obstacle.
Getting rid of the infection means ripping it out at its root. If you manage to defeat the plague boss within the infected area, the entire zone will be cleansed of the pestilence once more. Our Alive system has also gotten a huge update. You will now find many more factions being able to take over the various areas within Isola Sacra. Our goal with all of this is to change the way players think about retraversal in video games. We ultimately want to make every return feel as fresh and as exciting as it was the first time you played. And as you can see, we also introduced entirely new levels within the areas you're already familiar with.
Theory crafting, look at that.
In order to aid players in achieving the perfect build, we introduced quite a few changes that will make progression a whole lot more streamlined and fun. First off, we have revamped the way gear drops. We replaced the tiered approach and came up with a formula that takes the player level, the area level, and the enemy level into account, which results in an experience where any gear that drops will be approximately within your level range. Now, gear that used to only drop in earlier zones might just drop again, but at a higher level. We tried this out, and we ultimately see a much higher variety of gear throughout our playthroughs. We think it's a much more enjoyable looting experience.
Another big aspect that defines your build is, of course, the enchantments. So far, if your gear didn't drop with the enchantments you needed, your item would never reach its full potential. But we came up with a solution.
Seems like it'll be a good update.
If an item dropped with less than maximum possible amount of enchantments, you can now use a fallen ember to add another random enchantment to it. And if you have an enchantment on one of your items that doesn't quite fit your playstyle, fallen embers can now be used to re-roll that particular enchantment. Of course, fallen embers are also still used for respecking your
Slot
character,
machine
which
crafting.
makes embers insanely valuable.
Pull the handle.
We also introduced a new weapon variety, Masterworks. Any Masterwork starts out as just a common
That's
item.
my favorite kind.
If you decide to forego the RNG aspects of Wicked, you can bank on gems in order to fully customize your item. Gems will now show you exactly what effect they'll have depending on which item you slot them into. In our case here, we want to craft a build that heavily relies on and synergizes with focus.
At least you could choose which stat, right?
The benefit of common items is that we can completely customize them.
I'm sure by the end of the stream they'll say when it comes out.
Once we fit the maximum amount of gems into them, they now become a masterwork.
In general, we've introduced a whole slew of new weapons, runes and armor sets. We've also iterated on our list of enchantments in order to enable the creation of entirely new builds.
For No Rest for the Wicked,
ridding
we
ourselves
play
of the enchantments that led to overpowered builds. Given that and the new loot drop algorithm, the sky is the limit when it comes to build variety.
We also conducted a major balance pass on our stats, and we noticed that quite a lot of you didn't use shields all that much. So we changed the way they work. Instead of draining stamina, shields are now based around poise and stagger, and we try to ensure that each shield archetype feels unique. So we can't wait to see all your new sword and board builds.
Last but not least, if you've become a master at playing No Rest for the Wicked, you should try our new hardcore characters.
Oh boy, this is what we're gonna play.
Permadeath is enabled for these, so once these characters die, they get downgraded to non-hardcore characters that can only be played on regular realms. I wonder who will be the first player to slay the Econite with a hardcore character.
Right here, right here.
Naturally, we also spent quite some time introducing a wide range of quality of life features and polished up what we've played so far of No Rest for the Wicked.
No, they haven't talked about drop date
For
yet.
example, we've noticed that a lot of your houses looked similar to this one. Storage has always been incredibly important in any ARPG. On our current live builds, players can stack all that many items, and sorting hasn't been ideal yet. Let's switch over to our breach update. We fixed that right up, and now allow players to stack a whole lot more items within their chests. And items now also get sorted in a beautiful way.
While we're in our home, we can show off another cool feature we added. We've added Whisper Stones, which enable fast travel to and from your house. So if you just want to quickly drop off items and gear while you're out and about, instead of having to first warp to Sacrament and then run to your home, you can now save that one step.
That is the best quality of life they have added to this game.
Remember that you can place one Whisper Stone per house, so if you own multiple ones, you can even fast travel between them.
Our next change regards food cooldowns. We've removed the classic cooldowns entirely. Now you can consume meals instantly. However, your stomach is no longer a bottomless pit. You have a limited number of meals you can eat during combat.
You'll be able to upgrade this limit through Plague Ichor, letting you extend how many times you can heal or buff yourself in battle.
I hated the
cooldown. Aims to
cooldown.
make combat more engaging and dynamic, rather than forcing players to just wait for a timer.
This update comes out April 2nd. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Time.
What's up, Crazy?
Forward.
We know timers and project wait times have been a major discussion point in our community. We're adding a new feature so you can contribute food and ingredients to make Adanas' workers, speeding up whichever building project they're currently tackling.
March 31st.
We're always listening to your feedback, and we will keep iterating on the system. If you have thoughts, please keep sharing them.
And of course, we've been hard at work meticulously optimizing performance.
Here we go. This is a
If you
question
noticed
in
any poor
chat.
performance in a machine before, the Breach update should drastically improve your experience. Speaking of improvements, our DLSS implementation has been updated to a newer version, which results in much crisper image and even better performance. And these are just a few highlights. In total, we are counting more than 11,000 changes since we shipped the Crucible update.
Only 11,000? What?
Before we dive deeper, we'd like to clarify how you'll access the breach. You will need to replay No Rest for the Wicked to fully experience this update. Old saves remain in a legacy build, but this approach ensures the breach is integrated as seamlessly as possible into
You gotta play the new season. You gotta play the new season.
Ultimately, the scope of the breach and the underlying changes led us here. But don't worry, you'll discover plenty of fresh content, quests, and loot to make restarting your journey worthwhile.
Let's discuss our roadmap next. It goes without saying that we will heavily support the breach for the upcoming weeks after launch. You will once again see us react incredibly quickly to all of the feedback you guys might provide.
But we're also already hard at work on our next content drops. We've received hundreds, if not thousands of pleas begging for the co-op update, and we know that our original roadmap had co-op before the breach. Rest assured, it will be the next thing we launch after this update.
There you go, next update, co-op.
The reason we ultimately decided to switch these updates was because we wanted people to have more content to play once co-op releases. With the Breach update, there will be now a lot more content to explore with your friends.
After the co-op update, we'll be following up with more improvements and new systems. We'll expand Sacrament, improve housing, introduce farming, expand the Crucible, and of course, finish the campaign with more story and more quests and bosses. We are very much aware that a lot of you finally want to play No Rest for the Wicked on all major consoles.
We have a ton of things planned to further improve on the foundation that we've laid so far, and we're excited to keep discussing all of these new releases and changes with you as we go along.
Also, today marks the 10th anniversary of Ori. We released Ori and the Blind Forest on March 11th, 2015. It's been a wild ride for all of us here at Moon, so today, we'd like to use this opportunity to just say thank you.
Thank you to all of our fans who have supported us the whole way
These
through.
are the creators
We
of
would
the
not
Ori
be where
series,
we are today without
Moon
you.
Studios.
We're now hard at work on the final bug fixing and polishing stages of this massive update. We want to make sure we get it just right. But before we wrap up, there is one more thing, and this one is near and dear to our hearts.
Hello everyone, I'm Gareth Coker. My story with Moon Studios began more than 15 years ago when I received a message on an internet forum from them asking me if I'd be interested in composing the music for a small indie project. 4 years later, that small project blossomed into Ori and the Blind Forest. Now, we were all very young and just getting started, so for our second release, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, we set out to perfect everything about the original, and I couldn't be more proud of what we were able to create together. But our journey is not yet over. I'm happy to announce that I've been hard at work crafting an unforgettable score for the story, the characters, the locations, and the boss fights of
Gosh,
No Rest
it
for the
looks so
Wicked.
good.
And you will finally be able to hear some ambient music while out exploring in the world too. I can't wait to see where this journey leads us once again. It leaves me to invite you to experience the all-new music in No Rest for the Wicked with the Breach update, launching on April the 30th. It will be well worth the wait.
Oh, damn. Done? No? The goat's on the boat? And then it restarts. There you go. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, April. We were just kind of making this joke when I was talking to Gazzy yesterday on stream. There's so many good games and fun stuff people want to play, and for whatever reason, instead of this stuff being mapped out and dropped, spread out, we likely have, or we have, April 2nd, Season 2 of Last Epoch. Currently, people are speculating PoE 2 Update 02, full reset, April 11th. Diablo 4 Season 8, April 28th. No Rest for the Wicked Breach update April 30th. And God knows, we probably have a new Dwarven Realms season in there. We probably have a new Torchlight Infinite season. There's so much crap. This game is amazing. D4 is dead. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I saw some reports that potentially D4 is still pulling over 4 million players concurrent. D4 is definitely not doing well on Twitch and YouTube, but I think people underestimate the casual audience. It is probably still 2, 3, 4, 5x the biggest ARPG. It is definitely not dead, but it's not the 20 million players it was at launch. So, just FYI, just in case people are curious. Next week, Assassin's Creed Shadows, yeah. Yeah, the big patch is April 30th. And that's perfect because April 2nd, I will kick off Subathon 3. That'll go for a little, right around 10 days. And then that'll be over so we could plan our Wicked stream. Oh, yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, that'll be perfect. Right? I think everyone's avoiding GTA maybe. Does GTA have a date? Does GTA have a date? Claire's a sleeper hit. Somebody told me about that one yesterday. You mean it's going to last the next 3 years? No. So 2 days D4 for Aaron, I guess. I play every season for about 2 days. I think what I'm going to do is for the Diablo 4 Season 8, I will play the game until we kill Belial, I think. Unless I can't keep my eyes opened. So if I can't keep my eyes open, then yeah, we'll see. But I think I want to try and fight Belial. Is Wicked still in early access? It is. So 2 hours. Gotta keep the hate, viewers. GTA 6 is ages in the future. It's just the console early access for now. I see. Are you going to play D4 Season 8? Yeah, so, even though obviously my main game is Last Epoch, my channel is not called Last Epoch. It's called Action RPG. So I show up for a couple days every Diablo season. We'll play every update of PoE 2. We play every season of Dwarven Realms, every update for Last Epoch, every update for Torchlight Infinite. And then obviously new games I have almost 50 hours now into Dragonkin. We'll play Titan Quest 2. We'll play Grim Dawn, Fangs of Astrakan when the new DLC drops. So, you know, we're always trying to maintain our knowledge of what is happening within the genre. And I know this game, No Rest for the Wicked, kind of gets a rap as not being an ARPG, and I do get why. If you had to pick, hey, PoE 1 blasting compared to Elden Ring, Dark Souls, right? Where does this fall? It is closer to Souls-like than a blasting ARPG, but it does have some blended elements. Crafting, gearing, isometric view, loot drops, hack and slash elements. But it is definitely slower combat for sure. It is slower combat for sure. Blizzard has announced BlizzCon September 2026. BS. No, they did not. Did they? Are you a liar? Blizzard Entertainment. Oh boy, what is this?
Something is coming.
It begins.
Let me show you how it's done.
What was lost can be found again.
I hope you're ready.
Oh boy, they did announce it. It will for sure be 90% WoW. No, it's going to be all Diablo 5 or Diablo Immortal 2. No, maybe. The last BlizzCon was such a mess. Are you kidding me? I was at the last BlizzCon. I was in the audience for the live showcase. They'll announce Diablo Immortal 2. D5 bad? It'll be Diablo 5 back to the darkness of Diablo 2. Wait, wasn't Diablo 4 supposed to be? This is going to be darker. They should just announce Diablo 2 Resurrected 2. Could you imagine that? Diablo 2 Resurrected 2. That's what they should announce. A whole new Diablo game, but in that style. I bet people would love that. Give us StarCraft ISO ARPG. You are dreaming. You're dreaming. In my head, I think about being in heaven and having a StarCraft isometric action RPG. Yep. I want Lost Vikings phone game, right? D2R V2. That's right. They're going to announce a new expansion for D2 and D1. It's going to be so dark, it's like your PC isn't even on. StarCraft is never coming back. I get it that the stuff costs incredible money. How can they give up that StarCraft brand? Man, the people like me that love StarCraft, we're starting to get up there in age. If they do not do something with StarCraft, we're all going to start dying and there'll be nobody that knows what it is. They need to do something with StarCraft, like ASAP. Okay, that's kind of exciting. Let me tell you why that's exciting. You guys are going to be like, Aaron, you are dreaming. As most of you know, I launched actionrpg.com on Friday. And it just soft launched. We're asking people to go to actionrpg.com on your phone or on your browser and just click on stuff. It's a completely unmonetized site. We got all our news on here, and we just launched phase 1. Today we had a meeting with the developers and engineers for phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be a new event calendar. Diablo 4 and PoE 2 fully finished, like LE. new rich text boxes, team section, better optimization, just like a game almost. It's crazy. Okay, let me tell you where I'm going with this. When I went to BlizzCon, not last year because it was canceled, when I went to BlizzCon 2023, I had a press pass because of Icy Veins. So I was invited to BlizzCon. It was fine. It was taken care of financially, and I had a press pass because of Icy Veins. So we got to go to all the press areas. We didn't have to wait in any lines. We had a dedicated area to sit. We got to be at the live showcase. I am now mentally putting a goal. I'm going to write it down. BlizzCon 2026 press pass for actionrpg.com. That is going to be the goal. We're going to have our own damn press pass because of our own damn website. That is the plan. That's the goal. That would be huge. Yep. I had a friend that told me, we're still friends, by the way, that whenever you have a goal, you should write it down, put it on a post-it somewhere that you walk all the time. And that's going to be the goal. BlizzCon 2026 press passes for actionrpg.com. I like it. 2026, that's reasonable. Aaron, when is EpochCon? Okay, we have been talking about EpochCon for 5 years. That is like, I don't want to say an inside joke, but that's been something that, like, oh, wouldn't that be so cool? Oh, that would be awesome. That has been talked about, like, I don't want to say ad nauseum, but that has been like a dream for us epochers for basically the inception of the game. You should damn make it happen. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Is it a requirement to stream on YouTube? Do you have guides on the site? We do have, we're planning on a community section. Right now, the site has fully launched with Last Epoch. Whoa. That's weird. Okay, that was weird. It was running slow. But ultimately, the site is launched with Last Epoch. We have 2 creators currently signed on. So we have The Curse. If you guys know Last Epoch, you might know The Curse. And we have Frozen Sentinel. So we have 2 creators that are currently signed on to the site. And the idea is to, give a home to smaller creators that, bigger sites wouldn't look at. So we do want people that, we could promote and that we could see their content, and they have, like, all our guides have a YouTube video attached to it. So it's not off the table. We are currently in discussions and looking for people for Diablo 4 content. So we have 37 total guides for Last Epoch, 5 leveling guides, and we have tips and tricks. And the Diablo 4 CMS is done. It's done. Yeah, my internet's running like crap. I don't like this. But Diablo 4 is done. We just haven't uploaded anything to it yet. So the CMS is done, but there's no content. You should see if Babbling Bike would accept LE guides there too. Where does he post to? No. Normally it's loading really fast. I don't know why it's doing that. It's, hold on. Maybe let me just reset it. Look. See? Look at those loading speeds. I don't know why it was doing that. But yeah, D4 CMS is done. Just no content. That's quicker. Anyways, yeah. Okay. He posts on YouTube. You are hardwired in the new spot. Yeah, I'm hardwired. Yeah. Probably your old computer, probably. You should see it babbling. All right. This looks great. Thank you so much. Right now, it's totally unmonetized website. It's in its alpha beta phase. We weren't even going to launch or talk about it until April 2nd for Last Epoch, but when we flipped the switch, it was actually working so well that right now we're just gathering data on our side. So we're just asking you to push buttons. Okay. All right, everybody. Today is going to be a short stream. We are not ending it now, but now we have all the information on No Rest for the Wicked. Today I am building my new computer. So what we're going to do is I want to finish this video we started watching. So if you want to hang out for a little bit, we're going to finish watching Gamers Nexus review of the newly announced 9950 X3D. We've got 21 minutes left. The review embargo lifted today. I'm going to watch this anyways. So if you want to stick around and watch it with me, great. Then I'm going to kill the stream and I'm going to build a new computer. And no, I'm not going to build the new computer on stream. I already got to record the whole damn thing because it's a Fractal Design sponsored build. So I don't want to stream it and then have to, it's just going to, it would take forever. So anyways, whatever, dude. So we're going to watch this video and then I'm going to watch this video, post a YouTube video, and then build my computer. So that's the plan. I planned on taking tomorrow totally off, and I thought that's actually silly. So today will be a short stream, and then we'll just be back to our regular stuff tomorrow as long as the new computer's working. Still sending me your old one, right? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Invader Zim! What's up, sir? Oh, I've got everything turned off. All right, I'll turn on all the notifications in chat because we were reacting. Don't hurt yourself? No, it'll be fine, I think. Dude, PoE 2 LE, no rest for the wicked. I know. We just need a date for PoE 2. Why haven't they? Everyone's still waiting. Every day I'm checking on PoE 2. Yeah, nothing yet. Just teasers. People are saying April 11th. That's what I've heard. Okay. If you guys don't know, the embargo lifted today for the Ryzen 9 9950X3D. This is a $700 PC CPU. People were telling me that I should have waited and bought this for my computer. I made the decision not to because it just seems absolutely insane to spend $700 on a CPU. For my new build, I'm using a Ryzen 9 9900X. So I got it on the President's Day sale for $310, which I thought was a pretty good deal since it launched at $500. So, but I still want to know about this if I made the wrong decision.
Functioning as expected, and to help explain,
I have the date,
later.
But I'm under
First
NDA.
up,
You
the
liar!
All-core workload. In this test, the 9950X3D had a frequency plot that started at about 5250 megahertz, but settled closer to 5020 megahertz to 5080 megahertz during testing. This chart is intentionally zoomed in to make it easier to see, so the scale purposefully does not start at 0. For comparison, the 9950X non-3D had higher peaks, but similar valleys. It ranged from 5010 to 5080 megahertz. In terms of the average frequency over the course of the test, the 9950X3D averaged 5038 megahertz all-core to the 9950X's 5036 megahertz, about the
$3,000 GPU, okay. $700 CPU, no way. To be clear, my GPU is a 4090 that I bought at retail over 2 years ago. Actually, I think I bought it March a couple of years ago. So 2 years ago for $1,600, which was still crazy at the time.
same there. But the X3D CPU did so with fewer peaks and more level frequencies in the middle of its range. We think this will be beneficial to it in gaming. The 9800X3D's 5220 to 5225 MHz all-core put it well above both. This will help it in some specific workloads, but obviously the lower core count will set it back elsewhere. Just depends. The next chart is for frequency in a Cinebench single-threaded workload. This has the 9950X3D up in the range of 5650 to 5725 MHz, which hits AMD's advertised frequency of 5.7 GHz. The 9950X holds its frequency steadier and with fewer dips between tile cycles, but is overall comparable.
Sicko, what's up? No Rest for the Wicked's done.
25 MHz throughout the test, so it's lower than both when in a single-thread workload in this situation. Let's get into some of the games. Baldur's Gate 3 is up now, and this one had the AMD R9 9950X3D at 155 FPS average, technically becoming a new chart.
Look at this! 9950X3D 154. My CPU's garbage. It's at 93. What was I thinking? Aaron, do you game at 1080p? No, I only game at 4K. Still, what a look at this. Terrible.
Chart topper. The 9800X3D was our chart topper last time and is now functionally tied with the 9950X3D as the best CPU on the chart. The good news is that the 9950X3D doesn't appear to be suffering from its dual CCD approach, so parking is functioning properly and the CPU is not hamstrung by its extra threads this time. The 9950X3D outranks the 7950X3D by similar margins as the 98X3D did. It's 23%.
Mine is not even on the list. How is the 14900K? 116. Blah, 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 blah.
Higher average frame rate with lows comparable for the average. The 7950X3D outdid the 7950X, which we're using old data for that one, but should be no greater than 2 to 3% different based on our study of
I'm guessing these charts aren't accurate.
The 7950 is outperforming it by is 29%. That's with the proper setup of the 7950X3D this time. As compared to the 9950X at 101 FPS average, the 9950X3D outdid it by 54%. The 9950X is closer to the 7950X for performance, which makes sense. This game really benefits from the extra cache, it looks like. In fact, an easy example of this is the 5700X3D versus the 5600X3D. In some games, the 5600X3D outperforms the 57-3D because of its higher clock rate. In this instance, though, the cache and the core count's more beneficial than the frequency. The 5800X3D remains an excellent...
I'm sorry if everybody's just popping in right now. The No Rest for the Wicked live showcase is over. I'll be doing a review video for what's coming, and the big update is dropping April 30th.
CPU up at 120 FPS average or so. The 9950X3D and 9800X3D outrank it by about 30%. As for Intel, it remains uncompetitive here. The 285K is getting crushed by two prior Intel generations for reasons discussed in that review. And that's with new Windows updates. Stellaris is one of our favorite CPU benchmarks because it looks at time rather than frame rate, which is the most tangible to a user and most directly influenced by the CPU. Players of 4X or other grand strategy games like Total War with the campaign map, Galactic Civilizations 4 with turn pacing, that's a great game by the way, if you haven't played it you should, and Civilization would all see value here. For Stellaris, the 9800X3D and 9950X3D both perform at the top of the chart. The 9800X3D outperformed the 9950X3D with a reduction in simulation time of 5%. That's near error, but not quite. This seems to be a combination of a higher base clock and utilization. The 9950X3D is definitely working as expected though, because it's outperforming the 9950X significantly. The simulation time requirement drops by almost 15%,
Breach Jimmy's April 30th.
32.3 seconds to 27.6 seconds. This is the one game where Zen 5 in particular had stronger gains over Zen 4, with the 9700X doing well here and proving that. That's from IPC uplift overall, where Zen 5 has benefited. Intel's 285K is competitive with the 7800X3D and 9700X at least. The 14900K and 14700K are within error of each other. In Dragon's Dogma 2, the 9950X3D leads the chart. It landed at 132 FPS average here, passing the 9800X3D by a measurable but irrelevant and unnoticeable to an end user, 3.2%.
Just in case anybody is curious, when you are doing CPU benchmarks, they're always done at 1080p, just so you're aware. The higher you go up in resolution, it moves from your CPU to your GPU. So at 1440, you now are transferring to the GPU, and at 4K, you're almost putting everything on the GPU. That's why they test at 1080p to see what the CPU is cooking.
Both CPUs lead all of Intel's, although Intel at least lands its prior 2 generations ahead of the 7950X3D and the 7800X3D with the game's updates. This game really seems to benefit from extra cache, with the 9950X3D leading the 9950X by 46%, and the 9800X3D leading the 9700X, although they have other differences, by 41%. Dragon's Dogma 2 remains heavy on CPUs and NPC-intensive areas. The
5900X is awesome.
With how much of a
it's still on the
downgrade it
list
is from not only AMD's current generation, but Intel's past generations. And so it looks like even with Windows updates and game updates and everything else, our conclusions are more or less the same on the Ultra 200 series. We added the older results for the 3700X and 2600 to this chart. Now we noticed that performance on older generations doesn't appear to have...
Dude, it's crazy. I literally have a desktop in my son's room that has an AMD Ryzen 7 3700K. My wife's computer has a 5900X. My current computer has a 7900X. And my new computer has a 9900X.
Changed much. At most, there might be about a 5% change here, but we don't think so. Even
Aaron has a money tree. No, these are all no, that's not a money tree. It's not a money tree. Just a big family.
With that, though, anything's an upgrade. We just wanted to put them on here in case it's a helpful reference. Intel has seen the most upgrades since our last round of tests in this game. This game has gotten updates, so it's possible that those were targeted at Intel. It got uplift here as a result. Windows updates could also affect it. We consistently saw uplift across Intel CPUs in this specific game, and that's shifted the relative ranking of the 14th and the 13th gen against the 7800X3D. Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail's up now. In this one, the 9800X3D ran at 380 FPS average, with the 9950X3D at 373 FPS average. We've observed relatively wide run-to-run variance in some of these results, so the error bars are wider than typical. The 9800X3D leads the 99...
Ha! Where's Nash at? Ryzen 9 9900X is above the 14900K. I like this. What game is this? What is this? Oh. Dawn Trail. Yeah. Look at that.
50X3D by just 2%. So they're functionally equal
See?
here. The 9950X3D also bests its 9950X non-3D variant by 50 FPS or so here. So that's about 16% in average frame rate. The 1% lows are also significantly improved.
Wait till they get to the productivity stuff.
Keeping up with improvements in the average frame rate is what we're seeing here with the 9950X3D. The improvement over the 7950X3D is 5.8%, not a lot there. Intel's closest CPUs don't appear until the 14900K at 310 FPS average. This is mostly interesting because there was a time when Final Fantasy's prior benchmark versions were entirely dominated by Intel, with a clean division halfway down the chart, which is actually what we're seeing now favoring AMD, relegating Intel to the bottom. So it's flipped in recent years and generations. Intel's 285K underperforms against its prior 2 generations. There was no change in performance against last time for the 285K. Intel's one advantage in this test is frame time pacing, where the 0.1% lows indicate that Intel's CPUs generally have more consistent frame-to-frame intervals than AMD's in this game, although not by an amount that'd change your experience in a notable way. The 5600X3D outperforms the 5700X3D in this game. This has been known and is because of higher clock speeds on the 5600X3D, which proves valuable in this game versus the extra cores. At 1440p, the top of the chart truncates as a result of GPU limitations on the 4090. We'll move to the
1440 Ryzen 9 9900X. Look at that. It's starting to climb. All right, sorry.
5090 for a full revamp of our CPU testing for the next major architecture release. But for now, this is where we cap out. We're sure this is deeply disappointing to all 12 of you who have an RTX 5090. Sorry, maybe next time. The 9800X3D and the 9950X3D are about the same once again. The 7950X3D is also now about the same as is the 9700X thanks to external limitations. This is a good reminder that the gains once scaling graphics are most seen in time-based situations or in seriously heavy CPU games like Dragon's Dogma 2, but otherwise a lot of the times you'll get the most uplift from a GPU. Starfield is up next. In this one we had the 9950X3D at 171 FPS average, leading the 9800X3D's 165 FPS by 3%. The 9800...
What are we doing way down here?
X2D was notably ahead of the 7800 X2D, and the 9950 X2D continued that, though neither had as revolutionary of a gain as
this chart's not right. This one's not right.
The 1400K trails the 7800 X2D, improving upon its prior round result in a meaningful way. However, because of the improvements we're seeing,
get out of here, Nash.
The 285K now falls back behind Intel's 14900K.
Damn, you're fourth.
The 285K
fourth
still regresses and
list.
generally embarrasses Intel, trailing even the 13700K at times. Intel has continually tweaked its microcode on these prior generations, so it's possible that they rolled out a microcode that had
wait
lost
till they
some
get to
performance at some point in the
productivity.
pre-games,
That's where
and now
we
the
should
1400
crush you.
Series. We've updated BIOS to the newest version for each round, so that is a change that we make each time we run these benchmarks. Against the 9950X at 124 FPS average, the 9950X 2D improves by 37%. That's one of the larger gains.
It's Starfield, you're not missing anything.
The 9800 X2D makes more sense for value. Cyberpunk 2077 is back in our CPU test suite again with the Phantom Liberty expansion. Tested at 1080p medium here, the 9800 X2D and the 9950 X2D both ran at about 219 FPS average and were well within run-to-run variance.
Those are really close.
Of a frame per second apart.
You're only
7800 X2D trails, but not by much. It'd be roughly the same experience as these two. The lead
10
of the
frames more.
9950 X2D over the 9950X is 37% again.
Wow, AMD paid to win.
Oh
my gosh.
Intel 200 series outdoes the prior generations here sometimes, finally, with the 285K at 170 FPS average. Unfortunately, that's still below the AM4 5700 X2D and 5600 X3D, but at least it's a little better than its last gen stuff. F124 at 1080p is up now as the last game for today. This one has the 9950 X2D and 9800 X2D again roughly tied, with the 7800 X2D not far behind. The advantage is only 7%. The 9950 X2D leads the
They didn't even...
X.
All right, my new CPU didn't make this list. Nash, just keep it to yourself. Where's the... Get out of here.
Non-3D variant by 29%, slightly reduced from the advantage seen in other games. We might be hitting a GPU limit here. Intel's 14900K is the closest competition it has, released in 2023, with the 285K from last year, end of year, down at 9950X levels. The 5600 X2D and 5700 X2D results again show that this game likes frequency and IPC to some extent. 1440p is almost exactly the same in the bottom half, with the top switching around due to GPU overhead and limitations on GPU scale.
I'm back. We're back on the list. pretty far down the list.
The 5800 X2D falls down the ranks as the 14th and 13th gen handle the overhead a little better with more stable frame time pacing, which helps with the average. Otherwise, things are about the same, sans limitations of scaling for the 9950 X2D. We're moving on to production tests now. This is where the 6th...
Okay, Nash, I have never seen this video. We're watching it for the first time. This is where I should eat you alive. Production tests.
16-core CPUs do well. Historically, we've seen the...
What RAM are you getting? I bought the FlareX G-Skill 64 gig DDR5 6000.
X3D variants of these CPUs underperform against the non-X3D
Updates dropping
due to
April
power
30th.
allocation to allow higher boosting. Extra cache doesn't help in our testing here normally. There's a few situations, but we'll see if the 9950 X3D breaks the general trend. Blender testing hasn't changed since our October round. We ran validation on several CPUs and the results came out basically identically, so we can keep a lot of data for more comparisons.
April 30th.
This should help those of you on older hardware because it's got more present here. The 9950 X3D required 6.6 minutes to...
All right, hold on a second. Where the hell is it? Damn it, why is it still so high up here? Oh, it... Dude, the 14900K is a beast. All right, you beat me by 0.3 seconds. Unbelievable. Hey, but look, at least we climbed up the charts a lot.
Complete the render, which is about tied with the 9950X. It was technically faster, but in reality, these are tied. That's good news for the X.
Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. Let me explain. I know there's people popping in and out. The No Rest for the Wicked Inside Live Showcase is already done. We already fully reacted to it. I'll be dropping a video later today on all the details if you just want to wait till then. But ultimately, this new update is coming April 30th. It's already over.
X3D part, though, because past X3D CPUs, like the 7950
How much is
X3D,
your stupid
have been
CPU?
technically slightly slower than their non-3D variants. That's not because of scheduling or parking, but because the frequency was just slower in an all-core workload. Another good example is the 7800 X3D, which was slower than the 7700X by time required, or the 5800 X3D, which also required more time than the 5800X. The 9950 X3D was the first to break this trend in a big way. Technically, the 9800 X3D looked like it was doing that.
Okay, Nash, just so you're aware, I got my CPU for $310. The i9-14900K is currently $450. So, you know, there's a little price in there too. What a joke. What was all the fuss about today? No Rest for the Wicked is dropping a huge update, doubling the size of the world, full optimization reset, new endgame, new campaign, new weapons, new combat mechanics, new quality of life features, fast travel, just a whole bunch of crap.
That against the 9700X. But the power target was what brought most of the change. The 9950X3D outperforms the 285K here with about a 7% reduction in total time required to complete the render. Chromium Code Compile on Windows is another where the data set hasn't changed, so we were able to salvage it after validation. The 9950X3D required 81 minutes to complete the compile, which is comparable to the time required for the 9950X, but technically improved. This puts it marginally ahead of the freshly retested 285K, with a reduction in time required to compile from 285K to
the magic wall
of 4.7% less time required. The 14900K required 88 minutes here, with the 265K at
Thought I'd be playing it today,
minutes.
sorry.
The 9950X3D.
Wait, what did I miss? Damn it. All right, at least we're top of the chart now.
Is the new leader in our compile test. This is not going to be representative of every type of code compile, just like none of these tests is representative of every angle of the use case. However, the way we test it, the 9950X3D is the new leader short of going to Threadripper. Data for compression and decompression can't be salvaged, so it's all new. In the 7-zip file compression testing, the 9950X3D led the chart at 206,643 MIPS, or millions of instructions per second. That has it just ahead of the 9950X by 3.3%. This is one of the tests.
All right, Nash, your CPU's a beast. i9-14900K. I mean, it's like top 5 on every chart. Damn it. Stupid Ryzen 9-9900X. Thing's trash.
Where cache can help, depending on its implementation. The 5600X3D and 5600X are good examples of this. The X3D part has a lower advertised frequency, but manages to still roughly tie the 5600X. The 9950X3D outperforms the 7950X3D by 8.5% here, which completed at 191,000 MIPS. The 14900K is next at roughly 189K MIPS, and then the 13900K. The 285K follows all of these, down at 179K MIPS. Core count clearly matters in this test. The 3950X 16-core CPU is outperforming the 5900X 12-core CPU and 9700X 8-core CPU. In 7-zip decompression, we measured the 9950X3D at 277,000 MIPS, with the 9950X non-3D at 272,000. You wouldn't really benefit from the 9950X3D in a meaningful way in either compression or decompression of this workload. The 9950X achieves pretty much all the performance already, so you'd need use cases that more directly leverage the cache to get value out of the 9950X3D. Intel's 14900K is its closest competitor, followed by the 14700K, and then the 285K. We saved some of the data for Adobe Premiere as well. The biggest swing was to Intel's 12th and 14th gen CPUs here and 13th, where we saw improvement from Windows updates recently. Most other parts stayed relatively stationary, so any 12th to 14th gen CPUs that are date stamped as data prior to this round, so that'd be the October round, those would move around a little bit, so be aware of that. We decided to leave those on the charts anyway because they didn't move by a ton, and it might still help some of you who are on those parts. But just be aware that it's not 100% like for like. It is pretty close, though. The 9950X3D scored 11,600 points in the Puget Suite aggregate extended scoring for Premiere, which puts it at the top of the chart. It bests the 9950X by 5.8%, with the 14900K closest to it, and then the 285K. The improvement over the 7950X non-3D is 7%. We'll keep power and efficiency testing short this time to just show a couple situations. In Starfield, the 9950X3D ended up at 1.7 FPS per watt, putting it
Burrito.
behind the 7950 X3D and the 7800 X3D, but tied with the 5700 X3D and 9800 X3D. The 9950 X3D pulled 98.8 watts when playing this game, and Starfield is one of our games that most heavily loads the CPU, but still nothing like an all-core Blender workload, and especially not when you're parking basically half of the CPU to do more or less nothing. The 9950X non-3D part pulled 168 watts in the same test. Now, it's still doing core parking, but ended up pulling lower wattage. Part of this is due to voltage binning. That puts it down at 0.7 FPS per watt, and that means the 9950X pulled nearly 70 watts more than the 9950X 3D, or about a 70% increase in power consumption, despite running at a lower frame rate. In terms of FPS per watt, the 9950X 3D is both higher frame rate and lower power, and so it's far more efficient. It's still not as efficient as the low-power 7800X 3D, though. 7-zip compression shows that the 9950X 3D can still be power-hungry, and in our compression efficiency testing, the 9950X 3D pulled 203.8 watts. That put it at 1,014 MIPS per watt, or millions of instructions per second per watt, which makes it less efficient than about half of our chart. The CPU is the best performer, but not for efficiency, and that's because it's pulling 204 watts.
Dang, this is where Intel, gets eaten alive. Look at the efficiency benchmarks. All at the bottom. See, they just push power into the Intel CPUs. They're not efficient, Nash. Look at mine up here. All right, I got to take one win.
So its efficiency has decreased compared to some others. The 9950X scored 979 MIPS per watt and pulled the same power at 204 watts, making it less efficient than the 9950X 2D. The 7800X 2D is a lower performer overall and in big ways, but has such impressively low power consumption that it ends up being the most efficient. Of course, if you were serious about running this kind of workload all the time, you'd still want something more powerful than the 7800X 2D. Decompression testing looks better for the core parts, with the 7950X 2D proving incredibly efficient here, followed by an impressive result from the 7950X non-3D with Eco Mode enabled. The 9950X 2D ran at 1,358 MIPS per watt, putting it slightly ahead of the 9950X. They're still in the middle of this chart, though. That's it. You've got the numbers. It's going to be one of those where we let you make the decision based on the numbers we've just presented. The quick version, again, is that for gaming, basically think of it like a 9800X 2D. We didn't run into any major issues with the 9950X 2D. That in and of itself is kind of an accomplishment for AMD. They've really struggled over the years with the dual CCDs where one has X3D with an extra cache on it. Over the years, it's taken them some time to get to a place where it is not regressive and where it's a little easier to set up. And so the 9950X 2D does appear to do that in our experience so far, and that is a major improvement for AMD. It's taken them some generations to get there, so good on them for that. If you are building only a gaming computer, it's really simple to us. If you've got the budget for looking at stuff this expensive, we think you should actually scale it down and go for a 9800X 2D. The reason is it's just not that big of a difference. A lot of times it's kind of within error, or they trade places with each other. So if it's purely gaming and you really don't explicitly know that you need those extra cores, we think you go with the 9800X 2D, you save some money. Intel is out of this conversation right now. They are not a part of the high-end, expensive CPU for gaming build scenario at the moment. So they're just absent. And the 9950X,
did you hear him, Nash? Intel's out.
Makes sense still if you're doing a production-heavy build where you don't have a use case that explicitly uses that extra cache. There's definitely use cases like that out there. We see a little bit of that in some of our 7-zip compression or decompression testing, but for the most part, the things we test, it doesn't tend to benefit from the extra cache in non-gaming scenarios. So really where this, like the other X3D 16-core parts, shines is a more limited use case, and there's still a lot of you out there who do this, where you have some mix
Intel
really
Master Race
and of really heavy gaming. So if you do stuff like a lot of compression, decompression, maybe you render things on the CPU for one reason or another, maybe you are heavy into Premiere as an example, or you do a lot of code compile. So we've got charts for all those. And if you then, when you're done with all that work, play games that don't want a super high frame rate, that's kind of the use case for this. If you're one camp or the other exclusively, then you can save some money by doing a 98X 2D or a 9950X. And then, of course, Threadripper's on the other side, which we have separate reviews for that. It's not in these charts. So that's pretty much it for the fast recap. We wouldn't pay more than MSRP for this. CPUs tend to stick closer to that They are still going to have stupid prices from either some retailers or from third-party sellers on those retailers and their marketplaces. You've got all the numbers, you can make a decision and look at the value, think about if you like it or not. But for us, that is going to be it for this one. We've got a lot of content lined up, even though there's going to be a bit of a break on production for us. So bit of a production pause where part of what we're doing is for some of the time, we're going to focus on some new testing methods, some new chart styles that I'm working on. It's going to be really fun. So we do this about 4 times a year. We halt production for a little bit, overhaul things, and kind of get it prepped and do some fun stuff to keep it fresh in the testing and do new things. And then for the other part of that period where we're halting production, it's just going to be time off. So everyone's got a chance to recover from the big review cycle. And otherwise, we've got a ton of content lined up for it because we've been preparing for that. So it won't look too different for you publicly. It's going to be about 1 week where we're light on videos, and that's why. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll have an article.
Thanks. All right. What is another? Was it another timer to a timer? No. It's just already good. Okay. Well, thinking out loud, I have to do this anyways, so that we might as well just do it live. If you've already watched this, you don't have to watch it again. This is the actual showcase that we just watched. It's now on YouTube at 4K, so I'm hoping it cleans up the quality a little bit, but I don't know. And now we can pause it. So I'm going to watch this live, and then this is going to be what my video is going to be on YouTube. So if you've already watched it, you could take off. We're doing it live. I'm going to watch it a second time. It's silly to kill the stream to just watch it again. So I'll just do it again. So, but I'm going to check the audio first.
Perspective uses a ton of verticality, and that every inch was crafted by a designer. Watch out for telegraphed behaviors, and then punish accordingly.
All right, sweet. Yeah, it's not a timer for a timer. Okay, no rest for the wicked inside showcase. Round 2. Let's do it.
Hey everyone, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Gennady.
We founded Moon Studio.
I lied. The stream is over. They have not uploaded it yet. This is the old video. Oh, come on, Moon Studios. You're better than that. It's not up yet. They haven't killed their live stream, and they haven't uploaded it to YouTube.
Studios during the rise of...
I lied. I'm talking crap. Wrong video.
Take the upper passage out, then leave by the northwest gate.
What?
Restart. All right, everybody. No rest for the wicked live showcase. Go. Wait. Hit record. All right, everybody. Huge update for No Rest for the Wicked. This is the live showcase. It's about 25 minutes long. The Breach.
Hey everyone, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Gennady. Welcome to our second Wicked Inside.
We know a lot of you have been eagerly waiting to hear more from us since we shipped our last major content update.
Right after early access launch, we spent weeks listening intently to your feedback while putting out numerous hotfixes and patches.
Then, after we felt that No Rest for the Wicked was in a good spot, we launched
I meant to leave chat on. You guys could chat during this. It's good.
our first big content update, the Crucible.
Yes.
With the Crucible, we introduced fresh enemies, brand new systems, and a fun mode to keep everyone entertained while we began work on our next major content update. But it's been a while since then, and today we'd like to explain why.
Our publisher for No Rest for the Wicked was Private Division, a subsidiary of Take-Two Interactive.
Take-Two decided to sell off Private Division, which was unexpected news for us. After some deliberation, we saw an opportunity.
After months of negotiations, we reached an agreement to buy the publishing rights for No Rest for the Wicked back, so that Moon Studios could become fully independent. This legal process took time, and we couldn't say much while it was all happening.
But today, we're excited to announce that it's all done, and that Moon Studios is now fully independent. We believe this will give you even more confidence in our vision, because we're free to build No Rest for the Wicked exactly how we want, without needing to ever go silent again.
We've used this extra time to create something truly
That's very, very cool. Congratulations. That is cool.
special. Let's take a look at the breach.
The breach represents the biggest content update we have ever shipped. We have heard you loud and clear. You wanted more out of our campaign. You wanted more story, more zones to play in, more enemies to fight, more bosses to test your mettle against. In short, more of everything. And that is exactly what we have been focusing on.
I look
Our
younger.
story continues
Good.
immediately following Ellsworth's return to Sacrament. He summons his daughter Odessa from her prison cell, and their exchange reveals more about their relationship.
Spoiler warning.
Take the upper passage out, then leave by the northwest gate.
What are you doing?
God Bennett is often sleeps on duty, and the ramparts above him will be unmanned. Head north to Ermgard and Merrin, or west to the Glades. Anywhere but here.
Oh, damn.
So that's it then.
You have to go.
As a Sarim, players will have to venture forth into new areas we're introducing for the breach. These are massive zones that essentially double the size of the world players got to explore so far. A lot has changed in the
I just want to say, I know it's not for everyone. This game is absolutely gorgeous. I love the visual aesthetics for No Rest for the Wicked.
Sola Sacra since you've last visited. Southeast of Sacrament lies the lowland meadows, a once idyllic haven used by Sacrament's hunters to gather food and supplies. Ellsworth requests our presence on a secret mission, but a faction known as the Harvesters has taken over the region.
See? I told you this Sarim would come, and here they are.
Indeed. Your presence is welcome here. My friend is convinced that some threat awaits us at the Weeping Sisters.
As always at Moon, when it comes to level design, we deliberately craft every single inch of our world by hand. We do not rely on any procedural generation, and we believe that ultimately that will allow us to create an insanely expansive, interactive open world where every inch actually matters.
Throughout your journey through the meadows, you will encounter all new enemies. We have also introduced 2 new weapon archetypes, gauntlets and wands. Let's take a look at how these new weapons can be used to take down all new foes that you will encounter.
The Timberwhite here will try to take your life with his ginormous great axe. We know some of you already loved being able to suplex enemies in Wicked. It was only appropriate we introduced a dropkick.
You You like the drop kick? Hadouken!
Wormwood wretches and limb-seed archers will keep you on your toes with brutal range attacks. Our tremor wave will make quick work.
Was that some spin to win right there?
Work of them. Rust Reavers present an even greater challenge. Equipped with 2 huge saws, your best bet is to keep your distance and counter when you find an opening.
Dude, I can't get over the visuals in this game. I love it. And I also find it so interesting that they don't want anything procedural generated, and then you have other people where that's all they want. Very different, goals for the game.
But within the meadows, the Copse Treader will try to block your path forward.
Like a snake thing.
Study his movement patterns and keep a cool head. You might just prevail.
You like handcrafted?
Obviously, we are also introducing all new bosses for the Breach, but we don't want to spoil everything just yet.
We know a lot of you already enjoyed how much love and care we're putting into all of these areas. But once again, we didn't shy away from really using...
This game is also fully vertical, which you normally don't see in action RPGs. And I know this isn't historically a classical ARPG, but you could jump on everything, you could jump off areas, you're not locked to a linear path.
Verticality and hiding secrets everywhere. Even though you'll often fight for your life in all of these zones, every now and then you'll get to enjoy a serene scene of beauty.
Beautiful, Clark.
Things have changed in Sacrament too. Caretaker Alden has arrived in town to plead for help, dealing with the Blight, a plague infestation destroying his home of Marin Village.
Excuse me, is it true that Governor Ellsworth has already gone north with that madrigal? The guard said as much, but I wasn't sure. Many doors in Sacrament stay shut to us, Dasha.
And if you exit Sacrament through its northwestern gate, you will find yourself in the once majestic Marin Woods. Recently, the Marin Woods have been befallen by the Blight. It festered all throughout the woods, and players will have to find a way past it in order to advance.
An octopus monster!
The Belactor are ferocious fighters. The Stalkinche here knows how to wield a club, and if you're not careful, they might just call in reinforcements. Our new wands builds are surprisingly effective. We can cast ice darts to freeze our enemies.
Freeze them!
Cold Sling is a powerful ice evasion attack.
For the Heavy Feather, we'll use some more powerful spells our wands provide. We have since learned how to perform the Riven Twins Plague Explosion. And if you have enough focus, Lightning Bolt makes quick work of any enemy.
Brow, they introduced Smite. Did you see that? Smite, no rest for the wicked.
Halfway through Marin Woods, you'll encounter Marin Village, a peaceful woodland community of Isola Sacra.
Oh, it's so peaceful.
First traveler I've seen in ages. I'm amazed you made it to our village at all, stranger. Hardly anyone comes here anymore.
10,000 blessings, Serim, for returning us to ourselves.
The villagers in Marin provide new services and sell different items than the ones in Sacrament.
My clod of a cousin's still hammering away in Sacrament. Figured they would have run him off by now. Chased them out of town with their crooked pitchforks and bent spears. Might as well give it here.
In Marin, we will also meet Odessa's godmother, Irmgard, a connection to her Dasha heritage.
I remember when my mother used to sing me to sleep. You did too. Same lullaby.
Will I see you there? All of us at one table again?
I'm not welcome in Sacrament.
And in a return to the Nameless Pass, we'll explore new areas within it, learning more about the forces of the mainland.
We will not tolerate any more doubt within your ranks, Primus. Not while we knock on salvation's door.
Discipline takes time. It's earned, not bought.
The born god disagrees. Discipline is forged. It is a tool, molded in flame.
Meanwhile, we'll continue the story of Madrigal Celine and her vanguard, who seek to liberate the lost city of Kalen.
We're incredibly excited about this new chapter in our campaign, but we don't want to spoil everything just yet.
Our intention for No Rest for the Wicked was always to provide players with an insane amount of content, even after they finish the campaign. After the events that unfold throughout the Breach, our Spilled Blood questline continues as any area within Isola Sacra can now be overtaken by the Pestilence.
Damn Pestilence!
Once an area is infected, you'll suddenly have to fight enemies that you never encountered before in these areas. Defeat these enemies, and they might just drop all new Torn resources.
The Pog.
Torn resources can be burned at any fire in order to further increase the challenge within an infected area. You will need to heavily upgrade your gear and perfect your build in order to succeed. But greater challenge also means greater rewards. Notice that with every enemy you slay, the Pestilence spread meter at the bottom of the screen reduces. Slay enough enemies and you will have to overcome only one more obstacle.
Og, you ever play No Rest for the Wicked?
Ripping it out at its root. If you manage to defeat the Plague boss within the infected area, the entire zone will be cleansed of the Pestilence once more. Our Alive system has also gotten a huge update. You will now find many more factions being able to take over the various areas within Isola Sacra. Our goal with all of this is to change the way players think about retraversal in video games. We ultimately want to make every return feel as fresh and as exciting as it was the first time you played. And as you can see, we also introduced entirely new levels within the areas you're already familiar with.
In order to aid players in achieving the perfect build, we introduced quite a few changes that will make progression a whole lot more streamlined and fun. First off, we have revamped the way gear drops. We replaced the tiered approach and came up with a formula that takes the player level, the area level and the enemy level into account, which results in an experience where any gear that drops will be approximately within your level range.
That is a massive improvement.
Gear that used to only drop in earlier zones might just drop again, but at a higher level. We tried this out, and we ultimately see a much higher variety of gear throughout our playthroughs. We think it's a much more enjoyable looting experience.
Another big aspect that defines your build is, of course, the enchantments. So far, if your gear didn't drop with the enchantments you needed, your item would never reach its full potential. But we came up with a solution. If an item dropped with less than maximum possible amount of enchantments, you can now use a fallen ember to add another random enchantment to it. And if you have an enchantment on one of your items that doesn't quite fit your playstyle, fallen embers can now be used to re-roll that particular enchantment.
Look at that, Hog. It's got better crafting than your PoE 2. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Of course, fallen embers are also still used for respeccing your character, which makes embers insanely valuable now.
We also introduced a new weapon rarity, Masterworks. Any Masterwork starts out as just a common item. If you
actually the
decide
same
to
crafting.
forgo the RNG aspects of Wicked, you can bank on gems in order to fully customize your item.
PoE 2
Gems
sucks, bro.
will
You
now
love
show
it. What do you
exactly
mean?
what effect they'll have, depending on which item you slot them into. In our case here, we want to craft a build that heavily relies on and synergizes with focus. The benefit of common items is that we can completely customize them. Once we've fitted the maximum amount of gems into them, they now become a masterwork.
PoE 2 got me to play PoE 1 and now I don't want to go back.
We've introduced a whole slew of new weapons, runes and armor sets. We've also iterated on our list of enchantments in order to enable the creation of entirely new builds, while ridding ourselves of...
So far, boost to the story, double the size of the world and environment, new enemies, new bosses, new endgame, better loot drops, and the ability to craft your gear. That's a good start.
The enchantments that led to overpowered builds. Given that and the new loot drop algorithm, the sky is the limit when it comes to build variety.
We also conducted a major balance pass on our stats, and we noticed that quite a lot of you didn't use shields all that much. So we changed the way they work. Instead of draining stamina, shields are now based around poise and stagger, and we try to ensure that each shield archetype feels unique. So we can't wait to see all your new sword and board builds.
I thought this game bombed already. This game had a lot of buzz last year, but it's just, remember, it's only early access. So this is just the big, huge, this is really the first, maybe second huge update, or the biggest update for it since early access.
Last but not least, if you've become a master at playing No Rest for the Wicked, you should try our new hardcore characters. Permadeath is enabled for these, so once these characters die, they get downgraded to non-hardcore characters that can only be played on regular realms. I wonder who will be the first player to slay the Econite with a hardcore character.
It's gonna be us. Just kidding. We'll die on the ship at the beginning.
Naturally, we also spent quite some time introducing a wide range of quality of life features and polished up what you've played so far of No Rest for the Wicked. For example, we've noticed that a lot of your houses looked similar to this one. Storage has always been incredibly important in any ARPG. On our current live builds, players can stack all that many items, and sorting hasn't been ideal yet. Let's switch over to our Breach update. We fixed that right up, and now allow players to stack a whole lot more items within their chests. And items now also get sorted in a beautiful way.
Beautiful!
While we're in our home, we can show off another cool feature we added. We've added Whisper Stones, which enable fast travel to and from your house. So if you just want to quickly drop off items and gear while you're out and about, instead of having to first warp to Sacrament and then run...
That is a huge, absolutely massive quality of life.
...to your home, you can now save that one step. Remember that you can place one Whisper Stone per house, so if you own multiple ones, you can even fast travel between them.
Hog, you could probably do something with the house, like you do your PoE hideout.
Our next change regards food cooldowns. We've removed the classic cooldowns entirely. Now you can consume meals instantly. However, your stomach is no longer a bottomless pit. You have a limited number of meals you can eat during combat.
You'll be able to upgrade this limit through Plague Ichor, letting you extend how many times you can heal or buff yourself in battle.
You be too bad from dying 1,000 times?
This new approach aims to make combat more engaging and dynamic, rather than forcing players to just wait for a timer.
Nah, you can use a shield now.
Time ticks ever forward.
Batman, thanks for the Prime sub.
Project wait times
Just
have been a
wanted to
major
support.
discussion point in our
TA
community.
checks for all the
We're
content
adding
and
a
the
new
hard
feature
work
so you
in the
can contribute
ARPG
food
Willard.
and ingredients
Thank
to
you,
make
sir.
Advance's workers, speeding up whichever building project they're currently tackling. We're always listening to your feedback, and we will keep iterating on the system. If you have thoughts, please keep sharing them.
And of course, we've been hard at work meticulously optimizing performance. If you notice any poor performance in a machine before, the Breach update should drastically improve your experience. Speaking of improvements, our DLSS implementation has been updated to a newer version, which results in much crisper image and even better performance. And these are just a few highlights. In total, we're counting more than 11,000 changes since we shipped the
11,000 changes on the Breach update.
Crucible update.
Before we dive deeper, we'd like to clarify how you'll access the Breach. You will need to replay No Rest for the Wicked to fully experience this update. Old saves remain in a legacy build.
It's like Season 1. So you gotta restart. The Breach is Season 1. See, it's like leagues, guys.
But this approach ensures the Breach is integrated as seamlessly as possible into the game. We realize this might be a surprise for some. Ultimately, the scope of the Breach and the underlying changes led us here. But don't worry, you'll discover plenty of fresh content, quests, and loot to make restarting your journey worthwhile.
Let's discuss our roadmap next. It goes without saying that we will heavily support the Breach for the upcoming weeks after launch. You will once again see us react incredibly quickly to all of the feedback you guys might provide.
But we're also already hard at work on our next content drops. We've received hundreds, if not thousands of pleas begging for the co-op update, and we know that our original roadmap had co-op before the Breach. Rest assured, it will be the next thing we launch after this update.
Co-op is next.
The reason we ultimately decided to switch these updates was because we wanted people to have more content to play once co-op releases. With the Breach update, there will be now a lot more content to explore with your friends.
After the co-op update, we'll be following up with more improvements and new systems. We'll expand Sacrament, improve housing, introduce farming, expand the Crucible, and of course, finish the campaign with more...
Ooh, they're putting in farming. Hog, they might put in fishing too. Yeah, I know you like fishing.
...story and more quests and bosses. And we're very much aware that a lot of you finally want to play No Rest for the Wicked on all major consoles.
We have a ton of things planned to further improve on the foundation that we've laid so far, and we're excited to keep discussing all of these new releases and changes with you as we go along.
Also,
you know what? I'm going to reach out to these guys. I've talked to them on X before. We should try and get them on the podcast. I'm going to talk to Frosty LaRue. We should bring Wicked on Town Portal podcast. It'd be a good discussion.
Today marks the 10th anniversary of Ori. We released Ori and the Blind Forest on March 11th, 2015. It's been a wild ride for all of us here at Moon. So today, we'd like to use this opportunity to just say thank you.
Thank you to all of our fans who have supported us the whole way through. We would not be where we are today without you. We're now hard at work on the final bug fixing and polishing stages of this massive update. We want to make sure we get it just right. But before we wrap up, there is one more thing, and this one is near and dear to our hearts.
Now, before this final segment of the video, just so everybody is aware, the current guesstimate is Diablo 4 Season 8 is dropping April 28th. Okay? April 28th. I think that right around there. Listen to this.
Hello everyone, I'm Gareth Coker. My story with Moon Studios began more than 15 years ago when I received a message on an internet forum from them asking me if I'd be interested in composing the music for a small indie project. 4 years later, that small project blossomed into Ori and the Blind Forest. Now, we were all very young and just getting started, so for our second release, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, we set out to perfect everything about the original, and I couldn't be more proud of what we were able to create together. But our journey is not yet over. I'm happy to announce that I've been hard at work crafting an unforgettable score for the story, the characters, the locations, and the boss fights of No Rest for the Wicked. And you will finally be able to hear some ambient music while out exploring in the world too. I can't wait to see where this journey leads us once again. It leaves me to invite you to experience the all-new music in No Rest for the Wicked with the Breach update, launching on April the 30th. It will be well worth the wait.
The music is dope. There it is. Now, when we watched this earlier, I don't want to say we had a good laugh, but we know that Last Epoch Season 2 is April 2nd. Current guesstimates is PoE 2 Update 020 is mid-April. A lot of people are pointing to April 11th. Then we have Diablo 4 Season 8, end of April. And now we've got end of April, No Rest for the Wicked Breach update. I think we're also going to have a new Dwarven Realms season as well, and maybe even a new Torchlight Infinite season. And we've got Assassin's Creed. We're not going to be playing Assassin's Creed. There's just, April is going to be quite a month for ARPGs, or actually just gaming in general. It should be absolutely crazy. But yeah, that is the big update from Moon Studios. And I get it. There was a lot of people saying like, hey, this was supposed to be an isometric action RPG that would take on PoE and Diablo, and we more got an isometric, more Souls-like. Moon Studios said they want to take the genre in a new direction, but really they kind of crossed the genres into something different. And combat in this game does get quicker, it does get easier, but it does have a Souls-like element where you got to dodge and you got to parry, and you got to use these mechanics to defeat the bosses or else you'll get murdered. It is definitely not a fast-paced ARPG blaster game. That being said, the Breach update, again, double the size of the world, all new enemies, all new bosses, extended campaign, new endgame mode with the Pestilence. You have the quality of life, the performance improvements, the new weapons, and the game is already gorgeous. At least to me, I think the visuals in the game are top notch. And then they're adding in the new score as far as sound. I mean, I think if you're a fan of No Rest for the Wicked, or maybe you were on the fence, this might bring you back, or at least be happy with what they are doing. And then kudos to the studio that now they are completely independent and they're not tied to another company. That's pretty cool as well. So all in all, I thought it was a pretty good presentation. And everyone tells me I'm going to be subathoning for 2 years. Subathon 3 starts April 2nd for Last Epoch Season 2. So maybe we'll play Last Epoch Season 2 to PoE 2 to a day or two of D4 to No Rest for the Wicked. I don't know. It's going to be an absolutely insane month. So there you have it. There you have it. That tweet fell hard. Oh, that tweet got murdered. That tweet got murdered. I know. Set up your PC outside. Oh my gosh. What tweet? No Rest for the Wicked put out a tweet when they announced No Rest for the Wicked. Moon Studios put out a tweet saying the studio is going in a different direction after they put out both Ori games that were extremely successful. And basically they said, we are going to revolutionize the action RPG genre. Diablo, PoE, we're coming for you. They literally put out a marketing tweet saying they are creating an ARPG that is going to revolutionize the genre, and they're coming for Diablo and PoE. And Moon Studios has obviously, their first two projects were huge successes. Hundreds of thousands of copies sold, 95, 98% on Steam. Everybody loved them. So it's like, oh, damn, Moon Studios is creating an isometric ARPG, and they're publicly calling out Diablo and PoE. And then obviously No Rest for the Wicked drops, and people are like, well, it's isometric. That's true. And there is loot, but it's very, very different games. Very, very different games. And because of their very, very poor choice in marketing, the game got murdered on Steam. I mean, it literally, and the game, you know, the game is beautiful. Combat was fine. It's just people felt angry that they were lied to. Hey, you said this is an isometric ARPG, the likes of Diablo and PoE, and it's not. And since you lied to me, we're going to murder you on Steam. Not because the game, you know, is bad. It's just not what I paid for, and they got literally obliterated. And over time, that like 30% went to 40, 50, 60, 70. I think it climbed back into the 80s, and then it fell again. But yeah, they got obliterated. They literally got obliterated. So yeah, that's the story of Wicked. That's the story of Wicked. All right, everybody. Super short stream today. We're only going to go 2 hours. I am done right now. I'm going to post a couple of videos on YouTube. All right. And then I am building my new PC. I was very fortunate. Fractal Design sponsored a new computer for me. So they provided the PSU, AIO, fans, and case. And then I'm taking the GPU out of my existing computer, my 4090. And today I'm going to Frankenstein this sucker together. So today I'm going to build the new PC. I said tomorrow I'm going to take off to put the computer together. I am scratching that. And I'm hoping I can, now that this stream is good, post the video, build the computer, and then tomorrow will be a normal day. So that is the plan. I do not plan on taking tomorrow off anymore unless the computer is a complete nightmare SHIT show. So let's hope everything goes smoothly. And I have to film the whole damn thing because that's part of the sponsorship is I'll put out a Fractal video. I'm sure it'll be fine. So that's it. That's all I've got for today. Tomorrow we'll be back playing. I don't know. We hit level 25 on Dragonkin and are really starting to cook with our build. So I'm undecided. Maybe we give a couple more days to Dragonkin. We play it Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we're back to Last Epoch for Gazzy's dev stream. I don't know yet. Undecided. Tomorrow we'll be playing Last Epoch or Dragonkin, one of the two. Check out actionrpg.com. Just click around. And if you're not in my Discord, join it. New treasure hunt race coming up April 2nd. I think that's all I got. Peace out, gamers. Hold on. Bro, what? You ain't got legendaries unlocked. Hog, I played 35 hours of the demo. You're right. I don't have my one extra affix. I guess you get talents on legendaries. You gotta play Dragonkin. All right, I guess we'll play Dragonkin tomorrow. Okay, now I'm leaving. See you later. Bye.